This is your second video for your homework, and it is such an important lesson on soft engineering for coasts. Just very quickly, the definition of soft engineering is obviously methods that will protect the coastline, but in a much more natural way. Something that's sustainable, good for the environment, and something that isn't that's going to be visually ugly. So we know that actually our coasts, our beaches are losing a lot of the sand, again, due to everyday storms, due to longshore drift. So what can we do to kind of protect our coastlines from erosion? We'll start off with, let's say, this method over here, if you remember it, which is beach nourishment. So you saw the photo earlier. What is beach nourishment? It's literally a dredger that will kind of dredge sand from the seabed and spray it back onto the beach in order to create, make sure you say, a high and wide profile. Now, once you've said that, you get about a mark, but you need to know some advantages. So you might be asked to write these down on your worksheet. Well, the most important one is obviously to say kind of like having more sand, that is higher and wider, will allow it to act as a natural sponge, like a barrier, absorbing the wave energy. And that will obviously protect homes. Now, make sure you mention another advantage, that the fact that it's actually much more cheaper. And remember, you're comparing it to kind of like sea walls hard engineering. So that obviously helps save councils money. You could also argue that this method will allow the beaches to look very natural. So that will obviously make the beach much more attractive compared to like a sea wall. Now, it's obviously much more cheaper than a sea wall, but actually, it doesn't actually stop longshore drift. So it does need lots of maintenance. So, councils will always have to come out every other month to fix the sand, and that makes it expensive. Here's another method that's very similar. As you can see, the bulldozer, the tractor is doing something with the sand in order to create that kind of high and wide profile. This method is known as beach reprofiling. When you reprofile something, you make it look like the way you want it again. So we call it when bulldozers reshape the profile of the beach to make it higher and wider. Now you must talk about having this high and wide beach will allow. Remember, the first advantage to talk about is similar to the first one, which is the bulldozer will spread the sand evenly, and therefore the whole beach is protected because the sand will allow the waves energy to be absorbed, and that protects many homes and businesses. Now, you don't have to mention cheaper again because you already used it in the first argument, but you could use for this method that actually a nicer beach will continue to attract tourists, and that helps support local businesses. The disadvantage of this method is the fact that actually reprofiling the beach doesn't stop the storms. The beaches can easily get destroyed again, and that makes it very expensive. The last method, as you can see, is not like reprofiling. It's not like kind of beach nourishment. It's actually these kind of dunes that are formed. So last one is dune regeneration. So these dunes are obviously kind of made on purpose now. Let's see how. So these beaches are planted. Remember the word marram grass. You must mention that. And the marram grass has these long roots that can stabilize the sand dunes. And that can help these dunes to grow. So easy to mention to get marks. These dunes are tall and they act as a natural barrier. Remember, this is soft engineering, so you got to use that word natural barrier against wave energy. And you could also mention that actually they're quite popular with tourists, which can obviously attract wildlife, and it makes the coast look very natural without any concrete. Again, you only need to really use two methods. I'd use dune regeneration and maybe beach nourishment. But how would I criticize dune regeneration is that fact that these dunes can easily be broken and trampled on by humans, so therefore they're not very reliable and ineffective in protecting homes.